After my engagement, my mother won't stop criticizing my fiance. The moment I slid the ring onto Elena's finger, my mother started a campaign of quiet destruction that made me question every decision I had ever made. It began subtly, a comment about how Elena's dress was a bit too tight for a family dinner, then escalated to comparisons about how my mother had managed a household at her age while Elena couldn't even cook a proper roast. I defended her at first, calmly explaining that Elena was a software engineer who worked 60 hours a week and didn't need to prove her worth through a beef brisket. But my mother just pursed her lips and said we would see. The criticism became a constant hum in the background of my life, my mother finding fault in everything from Elena's laugh to her career ambitions, always framing it as concern, always ending with the dagger that she just wanted me to have a wife as good as she had been to my father's family. Elena started noticing, of course, her bright confidence dimming every time my mother visited, and I found myself trapped between the woman who raised me and the woman I wanted to spend my life with. The breaking point came when my mother pulled me aside and told me with a straight face that Elena would never be a good wife, that she wasn't nurturing enough, that I would regret marrying someone so focused on herself. I exploded, telling her she was jealous and controlling, that Elena was 10 times the woman she was, and my mother went silent, her face pale, before walking out of my house without another word. I felt victorious for about an hour, until my father called and asked me to come over, his voice heavy with something I couldn't identify. When I arrived, my mother was sitting at the kitchen table with a photo album open, and she began to tell me a story I had never heard about her own engagement to my father. How his mother had despised her, how she had been called unworthy and selfish, how she had vowed never to become that woman. She admitted, through tears, that she had failed, that her own insecurities had curdled into the same poison her mother-in-law had once fed her, and that she had been projecting decades of buried pain onto an innocent woman who didn't deserve it. She told me about the miscarriage she had before I was born, a daughter she never got to raise, and how she had poured all her anxieties about motherhood into an impossible standard for the woman who would one day marry her only son. The apology wasn't instant, and the wounds didn't heal overnight, but my mother asked if she could call Elena herself, not to make excuses, but to confess, to lay bare her own brokenness as a first step towards something that might one day resemble a healthy relationship. I sat on my parents' back porch while they spoke on the phone inside, and when I came back in, my mother was laughing at something Elena had said, a real laugh, and I saw for the first time a fragile bridge being built between two women who had both been wounded by expectations neither of them had asked for.